Sales orders are entered in when a customer commits to purchasing goods and services. When the item is delivered, either shipped or picked up, or even just packed, the order needs to be filled so that the quantities can be deducted from inventory and then the customer can be invoiced for the sale. There are multiple ways to fill a sales order. You can either fill a single order at a time, or you can go ahead and fill multiple orders. And even with the single order, there's multiple ways to fill a single order. Okay, so you'll see that I'm on a screen to go ahead and edit, fill, or invoice sales orders. I got to this screen by going to Processes and to Sales order, edit, fill, and invoice. So that's what took us to this screen here. And I have a list of currently open orders. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and select this order right here. And we are going to go ahead and fill that order. And so to fill it as a single order, I would highlight it and then I would click the Fill Single Order button down at the bottom of the screen. Before I do that, there is one preference that has to do with sales orders that we need to discuss, and that can be found underneath File and Preferences. And down in the section for sales orders, there is a preference called General. I'm going to go to either the Application tab or to the Database tab for this. And at the middle, you'll see that there is a preference to fill a single sales order. Okay, now this really primarily has to do with the inventory module and whether or not you have inventory and how that inventory relates to whether or not we're going to fill that sales order. Okay, so you get a couple different options. You can fill a sales order without regard to stock on hand. So regardless of whether there's a stock on hand, that's going to let you fill it. Okay, you can only fill a sales order if stock is on hand for that item. Okay, there could be other items on the sales order that it's going to fill, but it's just not going to fill that one item if the stock is not on hand for it. And then the last option is that if stock is on hand for all items, so it will not fill the sales order at all unless we can provide stock for all of the items. Okay, so I'm going to select the top one for my purposes. We're going to choose without regard to stock on hand, and we're going to go ahead and click Save on that. And then I'm already highlighted on the sales order that I want to fill, so I'm going to go down to the bottom and click that Fill Single Order button. Now what happens with that is it's going to bring up the order. And then on this order, we're seeing the detailed or the order tab of the order. It's going to go ahead and automatically fill in the quantity shipped column. So it's going to match it to the quantity ordered column. Okay, and if everything was filled, if everything was shipped or picked up, I can just go ahead and click Save. However, I do still have the opportunity to go ahead and change it. Like for example, if they only received 6 of this particular item, I could change that to 6. And when I click Save, this will become a partially filled order. So I'm going to go ahead and click Save on that. And then back here on my list, we can see that it is a partially filled order. Okay, now another way to go ahead and fill a single sales order is to go ahead and highlight it and then say that you want to fill it by just clicking Edit on it. So we can manually fill a sales order by just clicking Edit on it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now the one that I am selecting also happens to have serialized inventory on it. So when you're filling an order that has serialized inventory on it, there is one other step you need to be aware of. So if I am taking and manually filling this order on the items that are not serialized, I simply need to just put in that line how many were shipped. On the items that are not serialized, we need to make sure that we go and select either the lot or the serial serialized number. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to go ahead and choose the serial number, but if we were using lots, we would be choosing the lot number that we're pulling the item from. Okay, so I can either mark it as something that we're going to select later. So I could come down here and say that we're going to select it later. It already has one of the items selected here that it's ordered, and I could go ahead and say that it is shipped. Okay, so I can just go to that and then say that it is shipped there and then click OK. And now that one is ready to go ahead and fill. Okay, so if I click save, it'll come back and it'll show it as a filled order. So there we can see our top line, it shows up as filled there. Okay, so those are two different ways that we can fill a single order, either by highlighting it and clicking the fill single order button, which automatically fills in the quantity shipped, or by highlighting it and clicking edit and then manually adjusting the numbers in the quantity shipped column. Okay, the other way to fill sales orders is to go ahead and fill multiple orders at one time. And you'll see that right now I'm seeing all of my orders. I'm seeing filled, open, and partially filled. Well, when you're filling multiple orders, you definitely don't want to fill an already filled order. So what you might want to do is filter those out of there. It's not necessary, but it might make it easier to select just those that are open. Okay, so I could go to my filter over here, and by default, these are filtered to show us open, partially filled, and filled sales orders. I could temporarily change that filter by going ahead and removing the filled, clicking the change filter button, and then clicking apply, and then that would show me just my open and my partially filled orders. Now, what I could do is I could go ahead and highlight if I want to fill all of these orders. I could go ahead and highlight them all at one time and then go ahead and click the fill orders button. And when I do that, it's going to take us to this tab that says fill orders. And similarly to our preference for filling a single order, we have some options for filling multiple orders. So it's just asking us, do we want to fill all sales orders from available stock only? And it's going to cause back orders for those things that are where invoices are created later. So if it's a partially filled order and uh, we don't fill the whole thing, it will create a back order for it. And then fill sales orders, disregarding any stocking quantities, or do you want to fill sales orders where all quantities are available? So those are your three options. I'm going to choose to fill my sales orders and disregard any stocking quantities. But obviously you're going to choose the option that is most appropriate for your company. I'm going to go ahead and click process. And it's just saying that the list of orders on the list includes orders that have been filled or partially filled, and it's just verifying that I want to continue on that. So I'm going to go ahead and say yes, I want to continue on that. And it will bring up a list of the orders that I had highlighted just with a check mark on them, where I can still have the opportunity to go ahead and decide to not fill an order at this point. So we see the list and then we see that they're all checked by default. And of course I could uncheck one if I decided that I didn't want to fill one of those orders. Before I do that, I want to go over here to the right, and there's a column that says lot serialized items. So ones that have lotted items or serialized items on it, you might want to just check and make sure that it's pulling from the right lot, or that it is going ahead and selecting the right serialized item. So on that one, I might want to select it and hit the edit button. And then that will go ahead and bring up that particular sales order. And if I go over to the order tab over here, we'll see that we have this one that is allotted or serialized item here. And I just want to make sure that it is going to automatically make a selection there, but I want to make sure that the selection is correct. So I'm going to click on the button there. And right now it is set to go ahead and ship out this particular serial number. Well, if that's not the serial number that you are actually shipping, you could change it. So I could hit 0 on that, and I could go ahead and unselect that line and then select a different line. So I could say, well, this is the one that we actually shipped. So we're going to go ahead and say 1 there, and that we shipped 1. Okay, and it's going to put the amount down on that line then. So we just shifted it down 1. It was at 4855962, and now it's at 4855963 there. Right, so once I go ahead and do that, I could click OK, and I could go ahead and click Save on that. And then I'm going to go ahead and click OK again to go ahead and fill all those. And it's just saying that the fill order process is now complete. And if we wanted to, or if we were ready to, we could go ahead and create invoices for all of the filled orders. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK. Now, mine all disappeared from the list, but remember that's because I had changed my filter to only show me my open orders. If I go back to the filter tab and I put the filled orders back on that list and click change filter and apply again, then I'm going to see all of those orders that we had filled. If you inadvertently fill an order and then you need to unfill it, maybe it never got picked up, maybe the customer canceled the order before it was actually shipped, for whatever reason that you need to go ahead and unfill an order, it's pretty simple. You can highlight that order, or you can highlight multiple orders. So you could select as many orders as you need to. I'm just going to select the 1, but you can select as many as you need to. And at the bottom is a button that says unfill the orders. So I'm going to click on that button, and it's just going to give me a warning saying that it's going to unfill it basically. So I'm going to go ahead and select yes. And that is going to change that status on that one to an open status. So now it's an open order once again. Okay, now from this screen, you can also do things like create new sales orders, edit existing sales orders, copy a sales order to make a new sales order, or you can also create invoices for already filled sales orders. Those topics are discussed in different videos.